Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my Monday Night Raw review. And if you haven't checked out my previous video, my Hell in a Cell review was uploaded earlier. So if you haven't checked out my review of Hell in a Cell, definitely go check it out. Really enjoyed Hell in a Cell last night. It was a surprisingly good show. You know, it had its flaws, but still, I really enjoyed it. And Monday Night Raw tonight was from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. And another week, another shitty Raw was. This was a god-awful show, in my opinion. Aside from two decent matches and The Undertaker cutting his promo, aside from those, everything else, garbage. So I'm like, how do we go from Hell in a Cell last night, which was, like I said, a surprisingly good show. It was enjoyable from beginning to end. Yes, it did have its flaws, but it was enjoyable. How do we go from that good pay-per-view last night back to Raw, which was shit, like every single week it has been? These shows every Monday are getting worse and worse as time goes on. And I hope to God one day in the future this show will get better. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm like, how do we go from a good show last night to this? Yeah, so let's get started with the review. Show opened, of course, with WWE's Glory Boy, Roman Reigns, coming out. He ends up saying that last night was rough and brutal, and it didn't really go to plan for him. And he says he is still the Universal Champion, and that Brock Lesnar still has his rematch. And Roman said he didn't know Lesnar was going to attack when he was down and out, when Roman was down and out. Roman also says to Lesnar that if he really wants his rematch, he should come out now. And of course, Brock Lesnar's wasn't going to be here tonight. So why even call out Lesnar when you know he's not going to show up? And so Braun Strowman ends up coming out and says, screw this crap. And he ends up telling Roman that he should be grateful that Lesnar came out last night and saved him from not losing the Universal Championship. And so, Strowman says he wants Lesnar. And he says after he's finished with Lesnar, he's coming for Roman. He's coming back for Roman. And so Baron Corbin, acting general manager of Raw, Baron Corbin comes out and says for both of them to calm down, and that this isn't going to happen now. They aren't going to do this now. He goes on to say last night was his first pay-per-view as acting GM of Raw. And Corbin says, he's been on the phone with Stephanie trying to come up with a solution for this problem that happened last night. And he goes on to announce that on November 2nd, there's going to be a WWE show on the WWE Network. And it's going to be called Crown Jewel, which in my opinion is a stupid name for a show. And they are going back to Saudi Arabia for this show, this pay-per-view. So it is announced at this pay-per-view, Crown Jewel, on November 2nd, that Roman will defend the Universal Championship against Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. So it's going to be a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. And Strowman ends up saying he thinks that this sucks. And he ends up saying Corbin sucks, Roman sucks, and this whole situation sucks. And the crowd was really cheering for Strowman. They weren't booing him because we want to cheer for Strowman. WWE made a huge mistake and they were pretty much wasting Strowman, because Strowman, as of now, we all know he's not going to win the Universal Championship. They want to keep it on their glory boy, their poster boy, Roman Reigns. Like I said, WWE, they do it for Roman. This whole fucking Roman agenda. So Strowman says that, and he says, he thinks everyone that's in attendance in the arena sucks. And the crowd didn't boo him; they cheered him after he said that. So, and then Paul Heyman shows up and says, there is nothing more powerful than holding the Universal Championship. And he goes on to say that when Brock Lesnar was the longest reigning Universal Champion, the WWE stock was high. And so Paul Heyman ends up making it official and saying that Brock Lesnar will go to Saudi Arabia, will fight at WWE Crown Jewel on November 2nd in the triple threat match for the Universal Championship. So yeah. And so Braun Strowman, after Heyman, makes that announcement, we see Strowman ends up stalking Heyman. Heyman was, being, scared, and he ran back. And so Strowman ended up stalking him to the back, running after him. And Corbin ends up saying to Roman that Roman might stand like he's big and bad. And he ends up calling Roman a whiny little puppy. And so Corbin says tonight Roman is going to defend the Universal Championship against Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin, is just, putting himself in the match. So, but anyways, that's, after that was announced, the segment ended. So, but was, meh segment to open the show. Then we had the first match tonight. It was Drew McIntyre versus Dean Ambrose. And this was a decent match. It was back and forth between the both of them. You had Dean Ambrose work on Drew McIntyre's knee. Ended up injuring Drew McIntyre's knee because he used the ring post. Dean Ambrose used the ring post to take out McIntyre's knee. And the end of the match, Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match with the Claymore kick. Went for the cover. Drew McIntyre ends up winning the match. And way before that, we had Dean Ambrose on the top. He was on the top. He ended up jumping out of outside to take out McIntyre, but McIntyre ended up moving out of the way. Dean Ambrose was laid outside. The ref was counting. And then when Dean Ambrose ended up getting back in the ring, that's when Drew McIntyre ended up hitting the Claymore kick. So yeah, but all in all, it was a decent match. Then we had Drew McIntyre was shown backstage. Dolph comes and says, he did a hell of a job in the match against Ambrose. Corbin comes and congratulates McIntyre, and he says, he's going to beat up Roman because he deserves it, and the Universal Championship deserves better. And Corbin says to Dolph that that Dolph has invoked his rematch for the Intercontinental Championship, against Seth Rollins. So Corbin ends up making the match for tonight, and he says if Seth Rollins can't compete because of what happened last night, if Seth doesn't compete, Corbin is going to strip Seth of the Intercontinental Championship and give the Intercontinental Championship to Dolph Ziggler. So we're going to get Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship. So that's the backstage segment. Then we had Natalya and the Bella Twins backstage. Ronda Rousey ends up coming in and says, she got a question, and she wants to do basically a open challenge for the Women's Championship, and she wants to know how these open challenges work. And Natalya says to Ronda that she should go to the ring tonight and ask for a fight. Ask anybody to step up and take on her for the Women's Championship. So that's basically what happened backstage with them. Then we had Chad Gable versus Viktor. This was meh match, not a good match by any means. Chad Gable ended up getting the win. He ended up getting the win with a bridge suplex to Viktor. Of course, Bobby Roode came out, was out there with Chad Gable. So yeah, Chad Gable wins with a bridge suplex. After the match, Connor ends up taking out both Roode and Gable. He actually pushed Gable into Roode. So that's pretty much what happened. So yeah, this was a meh match between Gable and Viktor. Then we had Seth Rollins arrive. He was being interviewed about Dolph invoking his rematch clause. And Seth says, Corbin may be the acting GM, here on Raw, and that someone should inform Corbin that it's still Monday Night Rollins. So it was a little interview with Seth Rollins. Then we had, after that, we had the best segment promo of the night. The Undertaker comes out and says, he has never seen anyone with a broken soul like Triple H. And he says last week Triple H came out and said that, he lost all of Taker's respect. Taker ends up saying, he says delusion will be Triple H's downfall, and that there was a time when Triple H was wicked, savage, and also a warrior. And Taker goes on to say that Triple H these days tends to play a more corporate game, and Triple H's battle is the boardroom now. So Taker says he can't see the fear in his friend's eyes and his own demise. And he also says he put no stock in what any man thinks, and what he knows is when he faces Triple H for the last time. when he faces Triple H for the last time, the result will be like, the first time. And he says that he will put Triple H down 6 feet under. And Taker also says, he let Triple H have his decease and his delusion, and to let him have, Shawn Michaels. And Taker ends up saying Shawn Michaels is not going to go all the way to Australia and watch the match. And sorry about that, but I was saying, the Undertaker was saying, Shawn Michaels is not going to go all the way to Australia and watch, the match. And he says that, Shawn Michaels is going to be standing in Triple H's corner. And, Taker was like, he's okay with that. He's okay with Shawn Michaels being in Triple H's corner. And Undertaker announces that standing in his corner will be his brother Kane. I'm like, Kane? Kane is going to be here, when he's doing his mayoral job. I'm like, he's gonna do that. Yeah, but Taker says, he took Shawn Michaels' career, and he's gonna do the same thing to Triple H's career, and that he goes on to say that Triple H deserves, far worse, and he's gonna take not only Triple H's career, but his soul. And, he's going to put him down at the Super Showdown. And that Triple H will rest in peace. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to this match at the Super Showdown between Undertaker and Triple H. So, the hype for this match is really going good. I'm liking this build-up. So, I'm really looking forward to it. Sorry about that again, but I'm saying I'm looking forward to seeing Taker and Triple H go at it again. I think it's going to be a really interesting, good match at the Super Showdown. So, but yeah, it was a really enjoyable promo from the Undertaker. Also, really enjoyable segment. So then we had Bayley versus Dana Brooke. This was a meh match. Nothing great in it. Nothing special. Bayley won with a Bayley to belly on Dana Brooke. So pretty much a squash match for Dana Brooke. And of course you had Sasha outside. So, but it was a squash match. And we had another squash match. AOP versus these jobbers by names of Gregory James and Barrett Brown. AOP wins. And, you had Drake Maverick there managing AOP. But, Drake Maverick, he looks so out of place managing AOP. He looks like a little brother for AOP. Looks so out of place, Drake Maverick. I'm like, out of all the managers that you have, that you could have picked to be paired with AOP, you picked the general manager of 205 Live. Any other manager could have managed AOP. So then we had Corbin and Dolph were backstage. Dolph says, he's not happy that Seth Rollins is here. And Corbin says, he's going to beat Roman tonight. And that Dolph is going to beat Seth tonight. And Seth comes in. And Dolph says, to Seth, if he wants to back out, he don't blame him. And Seth says, he's not backing out and he's ready for a fight. So then we had, the match. Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. This was a decent match, and surprisingly, both of these guys, went forward with the match. After after both of them went back first into the announce table last night at Hell in a Cell. They flew off, the side of the cell, back first into the announce table, into announce tables, both Seth and Dolph. And you could tell from this match that they were still, hurting from that. When they were, when both of them were tossed into, were Irish whipped into the turnbuckle. You could tell that, both of them were still in pain. And so, Seth Rollins ended up winning the match. He ended up hitting the stomp on Dolph for the win. So Seth Rollins retains the Intercontinental Championship. But it was a decent match. It was enjoyable. It was surprising that both of these guys decided to go along with the match. Even though Dolph still invoked had invoked his rematch clause. He still had to do he still had to fight, and Seth wasn't Seth wasn't gonna back down from this match, because if he would have did like Corbin said, he would have stripped Seth of the Intercontinental Championship and put it over Dolph. So, but yeah, it was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match between the both of them. Then we had Charlie Caruso interview with Roman Reigns about his going into his match with Corbin tonight. And Roman says, he doesn't consider himself a underdog. And he, says tonight, when he's in it with Corbin, when he's in the match with Corbin, he's not going to be an underdog. He's just going in to be the big dog. So that was the interview with Roman. Then we have Ronda Rousey come out, and she gets on the mic. She says she wants to congratulate Alexa, and that last night was the best she's seen from her. Which that match last night was fucking terrible. It was probably Ronda Rousey's worst match so far. With her being in WWE. And she said that last night was the best she's seen from Alexa. And that she wasn't expecting Alexa to fight at that level. And she says she wants to be the best champ that all the fans want. Which is a nice choice of words. And, she says she wants to be like Bret Hart. She wants to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair. So she goes ahead, Ronda goes ahead and issues the open challenge. She challenges any woman in the back, to challenge her for the Women's Championship. And so Natalia's music hits. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting with Natalya and Ronda, because Natalya was Ronda's, training partner. She helped Ronda, with moves and, wrestling, made her, be good. So I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting to see. But unfortunately, Natalya didn't end up coming out. It was then shown that Natalya was taken out by the Riot Squad. And so Ruby Riott is on the mic, and she says, what they did to Natalya was Ronda's fault. And she ends up saying they don't like, that the Riot Squad, they don't like Ronda. And Ruby announces that she's the one who's accepting, her open challenge. And so we saw Ronda ends up kicking Ruby. She ends up taking out Sarah Logan. She judo flips Liv Morgan. And we just see Ronda ends up flipping, Sarah Logan. Ruby Riott comes in with the spear and takes down Ronda. And then we just get, the Bella Twins coming out. And we see Ronda ends up getting up. All three of them end up taking out the Riot Squad. So, for their setup for the Super Showdown in Australia. So, that's pretty much why, they pretty much did it. They pretty much did this. Because, it's going to be, at the Super Showdown, it's going to be, the Riot Squad taking on, the Riot Squad and Ronda Rousey versus the Bella Twins. So that's the reason why they did this, for their match at the Super Showdown. It's going to be a 6-woman tag team match there for that show, at that show. So then we had Corbin backstage, and Braun Strowman ends up approaching him and says, he doesn't know why, Corbin booked himself in the match against Roman. And so Strowman ends up telling him, good luck. And he knows he can kill him. So that was a backstage segment with Corbin and Strowman. Sorry about that, but then after that backstage segment with Corbin and Strowman, we had, when I snore like that, you know what that means. Elias was out there. This whole repetitive shit every single week with Elias, with him playing a few bars, a few notes on his guitar, trashing the crowd, ends up getting interrupted. It's just, that's what I feel. That's how I feel every single week when Elias is out. So he's out there. He says, he knows how bad this show can be, which, he's kind of right about that. Since every week Raw is, nothing but shit. And he goes, how bad this show can be before his performance. And he goes on to say that everyone wants to be, a part of what he is doing. He ends up saying tonight he has to take care of Bobby Lashley. And he goes on to say that, Bobby Lashley is a constant disappointment. And that, Lashley reminds him of the Dallas Cowboys. Or as I would call them, the Cowgirls. Yeah, I know. The Dallas Cowboys, they ended up beating, my team last night, the Giants. Second game of the season for the Giants. Oh man, it's not off to a good start for the Giants this year so far. Even though it's their second game, by the time they get to maybe the 6th, 7th game of the season, then I'll start to worry. Or maybe, going into next month. Going into October. So that's what Elias, said, that, Lashley reminds him of the Dallas Cowboys. And so, he's getting ready to, have his performance. He then gets interrupted by the man of the hour, Lio Rush. If any of you watch 205 Live, Lio Rush, is on there, is on the show. Very entertaining superstar. He's very entertaining in the ring. He's good on the mic. And he comes out there. He's saying to Elias that he's out here. That Elias is out. Saying the same diss track. Every single week. And he says, and Lio Rush says, it's embarrassing. And Elias goes, "Who is this kid? Is this kid lost?" And Leo says, he is the piece of gold, and he's the man of the hour. And Elias says he's here to do a song, and that, he's calling security on, Leo. And Leo says, Bobby Lashley has unfinished business with Elias. And he says to Elias, to wait for Lashley until, he gets in the ring with him. And so, pretty much that ended the segment. Then we had the match. It was Elias versus Bobby Lashley. This match was meh. Didn't care for it. We had Lio Rush on commentary, which was entertaining. Lio Rush was another thing that was entertaining about Raw tonight. And Lio Rush on commentary, he was talking shit about Kevin Owens. When the commentators mentioned about how Kevin Owens took down Bobby Lashley, ended up hitting that powerbomb on Bobby Lashley 2 weeks ago on Raw. And that led to Kevin Owens coming out. And Kevin Owens ended up going after Lio Rush. And Lio was, really quick. By the quickness of Lio, it was pretty funny. Him, rushing out of there, for Owens to miss. And, Elias was, trying to go after Lio, and Lio ended up, moving quickly away from Elias. And then we saw Lashley ends up saving Lio from Kevin Owens and from Kevin Owens and Elias. And Bobby Lashley ends up striking Kevin Owens. We see Lashley then picks up Lio, and he ends up tossing Lio onto both Kevin Owens and Elias, taking them both down. So, and that's, pretty much what happened. Elias won the match by disqualification because of Lio Rush. So, all in all, it was a meh match. Didn't care for it. So. Then, next match, we had Ember Moon. It was Mickie James and Alicia Fox versus Ember Moon and a mystery partner for her. This was a tag team match. And it was revealed that Amber's mystery opponent was Nia Jax. Nia Jax ended up returning tonight. She got a big pop from the crowd. So Nia Jax has been gone. I think since can't remember when the last time we saw Nia Jax. So we had that match, which surprisingly was an okay women's match. Wasn't a great match by any means, but it was really cool to see Nia back. But we saw Ember Moon end up hitting Mickie James with the Eclipse, and Nia Jax ended up winning the match for her and Ember Moon. We saw Nia hitting the Samoan drop on Alicia Fox to score the win. So Ember Moon and Nia Jax win the match. So all in all, it was an okay women's match. Wasn't a great match by any means. And so after that, we saw Baron Corbin was backstage. He was talking to one of the refs, and he says to the ref that he wants him to call the match evenly tonight. and right down the middle. The ref agrees with Corbin, and the ref ends up saying yes, yes, Mr. Corbin. And Corbin didn't really didn't really like that, so he ended up saying to the ref to call him the acting GM of Raw. And so the ref did that. Said that to Corbin. So, and of course, then it was the main event: Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin for the Universal Championship. And I did not care for this match. I didn't give a shit about this match. I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns. I don't give a shit about Baron Corbin. Did not give a shit about this match. Roman Reigns won this match by disqualification because Corbin ended up tossing a chair at Roman. And then Corbin ends up telling JoJo, the ring announcer JoJo, that the match is going to be restarted and that it's going to be a no DQ match. And I'm like, this wasn't needed. By the time this was started, it was already 11:05. So this was not needed. This match did not need to be restarted. So the match got restarted. It was a no disqualification match for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman comes out, headbutts Roman Reigns. He ends up, sending him into the, Irish whipping him. Ends up clotheslining. Strowman ends up clotheslining Roman while he's still, he's still by the turnbuckles. Corbin ends up hitting the deep six on Roman, which we all know that Roman was going to kick out of that. So no way in hell that they're going to give Corbin the Universal Championship. Then we see Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre come out, try to save their guy Strowman. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose come out, and we see them taking out Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Roman ends up giving a Superman punch to Strowman, which Strowman was standing on the apron. Seth and Dean end up taking down all three guys, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. Strowman ends up, getting up. And then we just see, Roman wins the match. He ends up spearing Baron Corbin. So Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship. And at this point, the Universal Championship, with Roman here, Roman is a worthless Universal Champion, and the Universal Championship is pretty much worthless. With Roman holding it, it was even more worthless when Lesnar had the title on him, because it wasn't shown. Lesnar was never shown. He didn't even show up every single week. So the Universal Championship was off TV for a while. But still, the Universal Championship on Roman, WWE is just gonna make Roman have a long title reign with the Universal Championship. This is gonna be Roman's reign of terror with the title. First it started with Triple H in 2002, if you remember that. I'm going by Reign of Terrors. When Triple H had his Reign of Terror, in 2002 to about maybe 2005, during the Ruthless Aggression era. Then you had Jinder Mahal last year, which was one of the worst, title reigns, ever. When Jinder Mahal held the WWE Championship. Well, that was torture. When Jinder was the champion. absolute fucking torture. And now Roman Reigns is going to have, you know, that same reign. Yeah. Roman's gonna have a long title reign with the Universal Championship. It's WWE, you know, protecting Roman. They do it for Roman. So, but all in all, I did not give a shit about the main event between Roman and Corbin, and that no DQ, that restarted match, you know, now no DQ. It wasn't really needed, wasn't fucking needed. But like I said, by the time that match started, it was already 11:05. So why did they go into overtime just for this? Why? The show could have ended there, where, you know, the match was a DQ. Was not needed. So yeah. So anyways, that's it for my Raw review tonight. Thank you all for watching. Definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all back here tomorrow night for my SmackDown review, which hopefully it's a decent show. And we got season 2 of the Mixed Match Challenge tomorrow, which I'm going to be talking about that match after you know, I do my SmackDown review. It's going to be in the same video. And before I end the video, I want to give my opinions on what I thought of you know, the new color for the Hell in a Cell, because I didn't you know, I didn't talk about that when I did my Hell in a Cell review earlier today. I thought the new color for the Hell in a Cell, which was red, the structure was all red. I liked it. I liked how the way, you know, it looked. It came off decent on TV. I know a lot of people were mixed on it. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. And a lot of people said, you know, like, you know, looked good when, you know, the cameras were inside the cell, but, you know, when it cut out of the cell, you know, a lot of people found it distracting. But I didn't have no problem with it. So yeah, so I liked how the way the new colored, you know, cell looked. You know, it was colored red. So yeah. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow night for a SmackDown review and the Mixed Match Challenge, you know, review. So until tomorrow night, I'll see you all with that review. Bye.